This film contains two underage people finger banging in a goddamn truck. Fuck you, movie. Hello and welcome back to another midnight showing. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of something very disturbing. Okay, it's called The Space Between Us, and God, this movie got uncomfortable at times. And maybe I'm just latching on to that because, honestly, there's nothing else in this movie. But this movie sucks, and it's probably going to get into dishonorable mention at least on my next year's worst video. Just saying. This film is awkward, disgusting, and frankly, just plain stupid. I swear to God, if I told you to take a shot every single time there's a scientific or logical inaccuracy in this, you'd be dead in the first 40 minutes. And it doesn't help that this whole thing is acted by what seems to be a robot who don't understand human emotions. Oh, but why stop now? Let's just go straight into it with probably the only thing that I liked in the film. Now, the only thing that I actually found good in this film, the only thing I actually enjoyed at any point inside of this, was Britt Robson as Tulsa. Because it actually kind of felt like she was kind of understanding what she was given, which was shit. But she actually kind of understood it from a perspective of how would her character say this. Now, her character is just kind of that standard, moody, pretty girl that just doesn't get along with people, always fighting authority, crap like that, and always being mad at the world. You know, it's pretty standard fare stuff, but at the least, Britt Robson actually tried to bring something to that, and there are times when I can say that she did. Minus the scenes where she's actually supposed to, I don't know, have an euphoric orgasm to this kid banging her while he's driving a car. Yeah, so if you can't tell, I think this movie is disgusting. Especially considering the person who's doing that is supposed to be 16 and she's only 17. Let's just move into it, people. Okay, I harped on that scene already a couple of times, and we'll talk more in detail about it when I get to the actual romance section of this, but just set that fucking thing aside for a second, and let's just talk about the plot of this movie and how a good concept is completely ruined by not thinking about that concept. So the plot of this movie is that we, the human race, are finally going to colonize Mars and build a permanent settlement there called East Texas. Because... But oh no, one of the astronauts apparently got jiggy with it before she was going to be sent for a 4-year mission to Mars with her supposed boyfriend apparently, and got herself pregnant. I honestly can't blame her considering what she was about to do and where she was about to go, so okay. But thus she has a baby in space, zero gravity, which is uncharted territory, and that's actually kind of an interesting story of what would happen to this kid. What would it be like to be born in space where there's basically no gravity? You thought we were going to discuss that? No. You actually think this movie is going to talk about that? Nah. It just says that they landed on Mars, and apparently this baby survived all of the G's that would take to land a ship from fucking space onto a planet. Yes, it would be less than Earth's, but it'd still be more than a baby, a fucking newborn, could possibly endure. Okay, maybe he was born on Mars then. He wasn't actually born in space. I'm still gonna call bullshit that not only did this baby survive leaving Earth's atmosphere and all the G's that would be, but survived in the mom's womb, landing with no complications whatsoever? Fuck you, movie. Okay, fine. We jump 16 years later inside the story, and the kid's a kid on Mars. And he has a heart rate monitor because his heart didn't grow properly because of the difference in gravity and whatnot. And his bones are oversized because I'm sorry, wouldn't less gravity actually make your bones smaller? And you have officially joined our new drinking game. Shot every time something doesn't make sense, scientifically or logic-wise. Ooh, that's good not caring. Okay, he's got his life. 16 years. This colony has definitely grown, and he doesn't know anybody. He hasn't seen anything because he's so far away. Yet has instant Skype technology from fucking Mars with Earth. Yeah, I'm gonna call bullshit on that. But sadly, he needs to come home. He needs to know what Earth is, so that he can bang some teenage girl who he'll only meet for maybe about a week. True love at its finest. So they decide to bring him home, but completely ignore every single problem they brought up as to why they didn't bring him home in the first place. Because science is for idiots. If I haven't made my point abundantly clear, this entire idea is completely undercut because they don't really give two shits about, science. They said that he couldn't bring him home in the first place was because his heart can't handle our gravity, that his bones are too brittle, that they couldn't survive the G-forces. Well, they managed to micro-mesh his arms and legs. Heaven forbid that they actually do that to any other bones other than those, but whatever. So that they're now strong enough to survive blasting off. What did you do to make his heart survive the G-forces? Yeah, you kind of forgot about the heart thing, didn't you? Especially when you make a point of mentioning that it's oversized. Yeah, that might be a bit of an issue. I don't see his organs not, rupturing during takeoff. And if you want to actually tell me that wouldn't happen taking off from Mars because it's far less gravity and he's used to that, okay, I'll give you that one. How the flying fuck does he survive landing on Earth, taking off from Earth, and landing back on Mars again? Need I remind you that Earth has higher gravity than Mars? Something that this kid's body has never been subjected to before. Something that might be a bit of an issue on how to get him from point A to point B. And this is, honest to God, the tip of the fucking iceberg. I could just go on a rant on how many stupid things they talk about, which is the logistics of getting him from point A to point B. But let's just not forget that there are plenty of other factors, like organs other than his heart. Even if they developed normal by Mars standards, they wouldn't necessarily have developed normal by Earth standards. Would his kidneys actually function? There's an entire movie about, dissecting the human body when subjected to something like this. Especially considering how much time he spent with zero gravity or basically no gravity at all. Especially when you consider how much time he spends in zero gravity or very minimal gravity. Or Mars gravity, for that matter. I mean, on Mars, he's jumping like 15 feet in the fucking air so that he can use his heart monitor to unlock a security door. Because reasons. And when he gets to Earth, he's barely jumping up this high. That kind of effect would have a bit more, dramatic thing on this guy's body. Now, let's stop talking about that stupidity for a second. Let's talk about the stupidity of the main character, Ursula Butterfield, as this Martian kid, and how the writing wants everything that happens to him to be so fucking wondrous and marvelous and jaw-droppingly, eye-openingly beautiful, but completely forgets that he is a kid who grew up in a certain situation. And he would know about a lot of shit. The kid is supposed to be some kind of super genius who grew up with scientists and knows things and raised by his pseudo-mom played by Carla Gugino. I think I said that name right. That's like the 5th take trying to say that, so I apologize. And he's such a genius that he reprogrammed his heart monitor to become an all-access security pass that works on any door, including the ones on Earth. That's how smart this kid is supposed to be. So how does he mistake a drinking fountain for a decontamination center? How does he not know what a horse is? How is it that he thinks that 1953 is the same as 2020 whatever that this movie takes place in? Everything about this character is contradictory, especially the way he acts. Now, don't get me wrong. When he has, like, the little bug crawling on his finger and being amazed at that, I get that. He's on fucking Mars. He's never seen an animal. He should know what they are. Frankly speaking, he grew up with scientists. He grew up with people who actively watch films, apparently. Did anyone think to maybe show him this? He has instant messaging capabilities from Earth to fucking Mars with this girl, but he doesn't have the ability to pull up Netflix? Okay, maybe not Netflix. Some of the scientists left movies and he is watching some 1953 German film about an angel falling to Earth because of love. Why not just show him City of Angels with Nicolas Cage? Was it more money? It was probably more money. So you're telling me that there's nobody on this mission that, I don't know, maybe brought a season of Star Trek or Stargate with them? I don't know, maybe one of them actually loves novels and left a book or two. I mean, even if you see the kid just reading fucking Twilight, it would make some fucking sense. The kid is bored out of his brains. He's stuck in a planet that he knows they're not from, but he can't go back to the planet he wants. You'd think that this kid would be like the biggest nerd of Earth ever. Yet the movie tries to tell you that he is. At one point, he gets put into the same class as Tulsa, and he actually starts spouting off random knowledge about Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla. How the fuck do you know about them, but not 2 seconds later when you go to get a drink from the fountain, you don't realize it's a decontamination fountain and not a fucking drinking fountain? What the hell? And don't even tell me that he wouldn't know what a decontamination fountain looks like. He grew up on a space station on fucking Mars. Even if they are sure there's no life out there, they wouldn't take any chances and they'd have stuff like that with them. That's just common sense. Something this movie completely ignores for the sake that it wants to be a romantic tragedy. And it's not. It's stupid. Let's actually talk about that romance. So that thing that we talked about at the beginning, yeah, let's bring that back for a second. The whole thing is a romance between Tulsa and Gardner, the Butterfield guy who's stupid. And that romance is one of the most awkward, uncomfortable things ever, because it doesn't really start out as a romance. It starts out as friends who IM each other from Earth and Mars instantaneously. No, I'm not going to get over that. But then he just shows up out of the blue and drags her along on a quest to go find his father, who he thinks is this guy in a picture with his dead mother because she died in childbirth. Please explain to me how she died in childbirth. I defy you. It looks like she has some kind of seizure, but for fuck's sake, wouldn't that have happened while she's giving birth? Not just after? Not after, everything's calmed down and everything's fine. Just saying. I know, taking the shot. But then these two proceed to steal cars, steal money, and just fucking drive everywhere. And it's supposed to be romantic. This feels more like a stalker kidnapping than it does a romance movie. Oh, and then we get into the actual romance itself. I mentioned the finger banging thing, which I'm really surprised no one else has ever brought up in their reviews of this. But then we get to the awkward teen sex inside of the fucking ravine while they're apparently in New Mexico, which doesn't make any sense for the direction they were driving in before. But whatever, they needed to find an Indian who married these people, and God, this sex scene is just awkward. Look, I am not against showing kind of a love relationship with people of this age. I'm not. It's when they're coming into their own. It's when these things actually start flipping. And God knows that other productions have probably done stuff similar to this, but they just didn't make it the centerpiece. And when you make it the centerpiece like this, and you open it with literally him driving, reaching over and finger banging her and calling it euphoria. Yeah, this sex scene inside of the ravine that happens right after this gets a wee bit uncomfortable. I know the actors are overaged, so it's ultimately fine, but the people they're portraying are not, and then they have that stupid, peeling off the clothes thing before getting into the sleeping bag mattress thing, and oh god, they're fucking kids. And they're literally fucking kids. Things that should come off as romantic come off as stalkerish or just plain awkward. And this makes a very uncomfortable sit that I don't want to sit through. I don't want to remember this shit. Yet I have to, because I have to make this. I have to do video. God, I hate this thing. And it just gets stupider. Especially when the climax of the movie revolves around him basically dying because his heart can't handle pumping on our gravity. So we have to get him out of our solar system as fast as possible. But you don't. You just put him on a ship and go into the stratosphere. He should be close enough to Earth that the gravity should still be affecting him in a negative context. Although you probably slowed the process down. But need I remind you, the G-forces necessary to get to said height, you're over here putting the afterburners on full, trying to break Earth's atmosphere. I think this kid who's already got a weak heart is dead. Oh, for fuck's sake, I'm going to be drinking more than my brother at this point. And the whole big reveal that the guy in the picture was actually her brother and not their lover, so he met his uncle, and it turns out his dad is Gary Oldman, who, for this whole movie, is just playing whiny depressed. I'm sorry, I don't like you in this movie, Gary. You can do better. I've seen you do better. Just go back to doing better. And I can't do this anymore. There's plenty of other shit inside of this movie, whether it be some of the production crap, the cinematography that just feels lazy. All they did was literally just follow them in a car, or put a freaking GoPro in front of them inside of the car and watch them talk. It feels very meh. This is clearly just supposed to be a YA piece of crap that kind of feeds off of The Martian, because there's a lot of Martian feeling here, and it just move on. If you can't tell, this movie is a piece of shit that's awkward, just horribly written on a technical level and horribly written on a romantic level that really is just playing at your heartstrings because you're a teenager, you like this. Maybe the book this is based on is better. I can't say for sure, but what I can say is that this movie was shit. And it's no wonder that this kept getting pushed back. It was originally supposed to come out in July last year. It got pushed back to fall, and then it got pushed back to fucking December, and then it got pushed back to February. And when it was originally pushed back in December, I was still seeing trailers for it saying it was coming out in August. In fucking October and November. I was seeing trailers for this movie saying it was coming back out in August when it was slated for December. What the fuck? And honestly, I think the reason why it had so many fucking pushbacks and reshoots and rewrites was because people watched the final product of this and realized just how stupid and creepy everything got. So they're trying to find some way of lessening that. And maybe to a degree they did. Maybe it was worse than the cuts before. But you know what? The final cut we got was still bad enough. And it gets my final verdict of fuck it. This gets my worst rating all time. It is a piece of shit that no one should ever have to see. There's nothing here. It's illogical, boring, and frankly creepy. So yeah, go find any other romance. Hell, I could even recommend maybe watching Twilight, because at least you get some kind of enjoyment making fun of that shit. But you couldn't hear. You couldn't. I need to go drink more alcohol because of everything I keep thinking about inside of the fucking end of this. God. Bottom line, not worth your time. Just go see anything else right now. Seriously. And that's it for me. Have you seen The Space Between Us? Please, for the fucking God, tell me you didn't. Tell me about your favorite teen romance that may involve space or not in the comments down below, and we'll get some healthy discussion going. And as always, if you like what you see, be sure to hit the like button, the share button, and subscribe for more. Be sure to follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. I will be doing some stuff on Twitch here. I'm getting a schedule written up. I'll actually have that up in a channel update video when that comes. And yeah, that's it for me. So I'll see you all next time.